When a Geophilid Centipede grapples with a Costa Rican Cellar Spider, it's silky skills versus straight-out savagery. The rainforests of Central America are rife with skilled killers. But when it comes to speed and aggression, the Geophilid Centipede is in a class of its own.
If you shrunk a freight train down to just a few inches and gave it 152 legs and a hyperactive and aggressive attitude and a pair of venom claws, you'd end up with a Geophilid Centipede. The only thing guaranteed to slow this guy down is death.
Swift and sure-footed, as flexible as a yoga master, this restless hunter can handle not just rough terrain, but in some cases, no terrain, flowing across crevices like its own rope bridge on 76 pairs of legs. Each body segment is protected top and bottom by armored plates. At the rear, a pair of anal legs mimics the centipede's antennae, so predators aren't sure which is the dangerous end. When it tracks down prey, those legs become multiple weapons of war.
The instant he makes contact with the prey, he wraps as many legs around it as he can and just ties it up. Each one of these legs is tipped with a very sharp claw, so this is like trying to wrestle a snake that's inside of a barbed wire suit.
With the victim pinned, the centipede puts its venom claws to work, injecting a lethal chemical brew.
Most centipede venoms contain a chemical called 5-hydroxytryptamine, which is the neurotransmitter that we call serotonin. This not only produces pain in the prey, but also increases the absorption of other toxins that break down the cell walls and the tissue.
What the venom doesn't do, the vicious claws finish off. The centipede starts tunneling through the katydid and devours its victim from the inside, right up to the eyeballs. All that's left is a shell, discarded like an empty glove. Nearby, another ruthless hunter is setting her trap. Looking delicate, even frail, the Costa Rican Cellar Spider is deceptively deadly.
Cellar spiders look so delicate, but actually they're really quite tough predators.
For this web warrior, being neat isn't a high priority.
The cellar spiders build a fairly messy web. They hang upside down in this web, and then they may have lines going down to the ground that are relatively sticky.
When a bug blunders into her gossamer curtain, those extra-long, thin legs start throwing silk thread in a rapid-fire frenzy of wrapping.
When the cellar spider wraps its prey, it isn't putting out big swaths of silk the way some of the other spiders do. They're essentially just putting out a single line, but they do it extraordinarily fast, and so they can really wrap up and do it fast.
But the female cellar spider is about to receive another visitor. The Geophilid Centipede is on its way. What happens when the silk stalker is struck by a runaway train?
Anyone who thinks cellar spiders are harmless doesn't know they're spiders. The centipede could be hog-tied in an instant, and then the only way he could break free would be brute force.
Next, the fragile and the fearless face off. Then, a David and Goliath battle to the death. And later, armed warriors go to war. In a Central American rainforest, a hungry Costa Rican cellar spider is desperate to feed. A Geophilid centipede is a potential smorgasbord, but it could also make a meal of her. The cellar spider smothers her enemy with silk before delivering a venomous bite. The Geophilid centipede uses claw-tipped legs to grip its foe, and venom claws to inject a toxic chemical cocktail. With customary bravado, the centipede hurtles onto the web.
That many feet, the odds of getting tangled up are enormous. If he doesn't break free quickly, the web owner will come down and scope him out.
The cellar spider reacts instantly, lassoing the intruder with strand after strand of sticky silk.
The first thing the centipede would normally do when being overwhelmed by a threat is head for the nearest crevice at high speed. But that's clearly impossible to do when you're being wound up with thread after thread of super sticky spider silk.
The trapped centipede lashes about like a demented garden hose, trying to score a direct hit with its deadly venom claws. But the spider is always just out of range.
This is where silk wrapping with these incredibly long legs comes in handy. She cannot get too close to that centipede. The way she is wrapping is amazing. Look at how fast this is.
The cellar spider goes into overdrive. Her legs are a blur as she throws silk at a rate of 6 loops per second. But the centipede is just as quick to break the ties that bind.
This is an epic fight back. If he can get those venom claws into the spider, just one bite would be enough to turn this fight upside down.
The spider sneaks in several bites, but her venom is relatively weak and slow-acting. But eventually, with her victim's head pinned and its body twisted like a pretzel, the spider seems to have won. But like a horror movie monster, the centipede suddenly breaks free once more.
This is amazingly risky business with this centipede getting its head free all of the time. She's putting out an enormous amount of silk. At some point, she's going to run out of the silk that she has available.
Her silk stores are used up. The spider is throwing thin air, and the centipede's head is still free. In desperation, she dispenses her few remaining drops of venom.
The centipede may have finally succumbed, but talk about combat endurance. He made the spider use every last inch of its silk, every last drop of its venom, and every last bit of its energy. He won't be remembered as a wimp.
It's been an epic battle. Now, the epic feast. The cellar spider spews digestive juices into the centipede's body and sucks up the liquefied flesh.
Okay, I know it's dead, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this centipede spring back into action one last time.